We got some Kentucky practice footage, which excites me, Carter. I like watching teams play basketball, and there's not many teams I'm more excited to see who they are than Kentucky this year. Why are you out of your seat?
Um, because as customary to all Sleepers Media YouTube videos moving forward, I will be hitting that Mark Pope before we record. Ah!
Thank you.
Hmm?
Okay. I really hope you don't do that all the time, but you probably are. It makes me uncomfortable. Okay. There were some things to like. A lot more things to like from this video than things not to like. But I jotted down a bunch of notes that I picked up on things from this. You can go watch it. It's on Twitter. I believe On3 kind of corralled this and put it in an article as well with some summary stuff. But a lot of players looked really good. You saw a lot of Jackson Robinson dynamic scoring ability. Kirk Risa making some great passes and knocking down some shots. Colin Chandler finishing through traffic. Otega Owe had a couple moments. Amari Williams was flashing some passes and dunks. Even the freshman, Travis Perry, hit a three. All in all, it was a really, really good look early at Kentucky and how deep they are. Like there's a lot of players who can play on this team. One who was not in the video, as far as I could tell, was Kobe Brea. Not sure what's going up with him. On with him, I think he might be injured right now. But anyways, sent you this video this morning. You've had time to process and watch it. What do you make of Kentucky's first look?
It looks like, at least from the highlights, that they can really shoot the ball. And also Kirk Risa looked great in the pick and roll. I think there was three things that stood out to me immediately. And I'll say them in order of, I think, what is best for Kentucky and what I'm most impressed by. Jackson Robinson was getting buckets. That's massive. I think he needs to be the star of this team. I think that bode well for Kentucky if he is that guy. Two, probably Kirk Risa operating in the pick and roll. I think he looked really good in that, both passing, creating for others, and just being able to knock the ball down off the screen. That's, I think, is massive for him. And then the most underrated one to me is the Amari Williams passing. Like, we talk about like Mark Pope offenses and how he requires, or not requires, but his offense works the best when he has big men that can pass the ball, right? And I thought that Amari Williams was incredible in like that short roll area, finding people. I think he had like a baseline pass. He had like the catch the pick and roll at the elbow, locate the shooters on the wing, kick out to him and knock it down. That looked really good. So I think those are the three main positives that I took away from this video.
I agree with your positives. I think you hit on all the big ones, although I might tweak one of the positives into like, are we sure this is a good thing in a few moments? But
Mm.
the loudest takeaway for me by far is Jackson Robinson looks like he's insanely good. And we know Jackson Robinson is insanely good. When he was good for BYU, he was awesome. But it is kind of good to see. You never know how a guy's going to react to a new program, all these new faces around him. I think it's worth reminding ourselves Jackson Robinson is not just like the guy talent wise on this team. Jackson Robinson is Mark Pope's guy. And if we're talking like who's the identity of this team in year one, they're a tandem to me. Like Mark Pope leaned on Jackson Robinson to win a lot of games last year, and nobody else on this team came with him. Like, not to say he tried to get him. Colin Chandler came along, but he didn't play last year. It's just not one of those things where like a coach left and took half his team. Mark Pope is feeling out new faces every day on this roster. And the one who's comfortable and the one who's familiar and the one who's probably the best player in the gym too is Jackson Robinson. He looked like it in the tape. Like he was scoring at will. The handle looked really nice. The shot looked beautiful. I'm buying Jackson Robinson as a guy that I think we've been sleeping on a little too much and maybe one of the best players in the country. Totally agree with you on Amari Williams. Looked like they were utilizing him in some really creative ways. And I think that right there is the benefit of Mark Pope, right? Like, Mark Pope is not just like a roll the guys out and see what happens. He's going to get more out of these guys offensively. Amari Williams clearly has some passing chops. But based on the small footage we saw, Amari looks like maybe he's clearly the best big here. And I think we kind of hoped that would happen from the transfer videos we did. But I feel pretty strongly that's the center here. And with all due respect, the other bigs didn't show me much in this film. Like we had one clear travel early in the video that I think was Brandon Garrison, and just some uncomfortable looking finishes from guys that weren't Amari Williams.
Yeah, and honestly, even like front court wise, really didn't see much
Yeah.
outside of Amari Williams. Like I didn't really see, and there's a little bit of Carr in there, but it was this video was really guards, right? Guards and Amari, and that's kind of what it was.
And I do think it would be fair to say, like, I expect this season the front court to be the weakness of this team. Like, with all due respect, like if there's something that Kentucky struggles with, my strong belief is it would be the front court based on the personnel they have. But Amari Williams looked pretty good. Kirk Risa, heavily involved in this footage. Now he looked good. He's making shots. He's making great reads, pick and roll stuff, just flashy passes. He had like 6 assists, it looked like in the video. Like he looked the part through and through. This is the classic, is that good or bad for Kentucky? If I were a Kentucky fan, I would not be hoping Kirk Risa looks like my best on-ball player. And based on that tape, this team to me is Jackson Robinson and Kirk Risa. I don't know what that means. Like, it's good they look good, but isn't that scary?
Yeah, eh, given history, you don't want Kirk Risa being your best player. That I don't think that is what you want. Kirk Risa can be a piece, but I don't think you want him being just this extremely high usage, do everything guy. I think you want him to be more of a like a fourth guy, right? Or something like that. I know it's highlights, right? So it's cut up and that's how it is. But to me, that video screamed like Kirk Risa option one, Jackson Robinson like 1B. I don't want that to be close. I want Jackson Robinson one, clear one, and everyone else kind of fall into whatever place they land.
Yeah, I want Jackson Robinson 1, Kobe Brea 2. I know he didn't play, but Kobe Brea 2, Otega Owe 3, Kirk Risa 4. That would be my hope, is the team gets there. It just, when I flip it on, I'm like, ooh, Kentucky footage, yay. And then I'm like, this is a lot of Kirk Risa. And that's just something I got to shake. But like, it's maybe I'm being too harsh on Kirk, because they did win a bunch of games. Like he's been a starting point guard playing huge minutes on really good Arizona teams. But those Arizona teams had Azuolas Tubelis and Umar Ballo in the front court,
And
and
Benedict.
Benedict Math. Like I think you're missing those guys around him, and that's what scares me a little. Is if Kerr looks like your second most talented guy, it's a little uneasy. They need Kobe Brea back, because I think Kobe would help a lot, and Kerr's a really good fit with Kobe Brea. Those guys will like to play together.
Yeah, even looking back at those really good Arizona teams, it was like Matherin was in the fold, right? Matherin was one. You made the argument that Dalen Terry was two, right? And then Creasa was like 3, 4 because they had Coloco too. But yeah, I obviously highlights like we said would have definitely liked to get the more of the vibes that Jackson Robinson was the guy. Like we're going all in on that guy. But yeah, so does that wrap up our positive segment?
I have one more positive that
Okay.
we haven't said yet. Felt strongly, just based on the roster depth, is a huge strength of this team. Feel stronger about that after seeing the video. Like
Yeah,
they got like 11 plus guys that can play.
right. And like the only non-shooters are Amari Williams and Garrison, right?
Pretty much. Lamont Butler was 30% last year, but
Yeah. Okay, I guess Lamont will fall, but otherwise, like I trust other guys on the team. Like even I'm a big Chandler guy. They had some moments in here, finish over Willie Cauley-Stein. That's not saying nothing. So, um, yeah, I do believe in the depth of this Kentucky team, surely.
yeah, 100%. Okay. Do you have negatives?
Yeah. My first negative is that they can't check the Kentucky TBT team.
I don't know that I agree with that. Why'd you get that from the footage?
Because I saw a lot of and I don't want to say the wrong Harrison twin, but I believe it was a Harrison twin, number 5 on the La Familia team, and he was cooking up them boys. Now he's a
Fair.
pro. Don't get me wrong, pro, but um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if defense is necessarily going to be this team's strength. at least with the starters,
Hmm.
because I don't consider
I mean, that's yeah. Defense isn't going to be a strength,
right. So I
but
guess that's not really. I guess it's not really a negative. I mean, that would be the one. That's the one that came to me right away. Is that it didn't really look like there was much checking going on.
but you
It,
hate defense.
I do, but that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Understood. And the offense needs to be elite enough to not care about defense, right?
Right. So
And
if you're gonna do that, you better be a top five scoring team.
do you think that happens?
I want to say no.
Based on this tape, where would you have like Kentucky's projected offensive and defensive efficiency ranks?
I probably have them defensively somewhere in the 30s.
That seems really high for what you just said. This team can't check a soul, but they're in the 30s nationally.
They'll get there. You know, you set me up for failure with that question.
I mean, if they're bad defensively, they're outside the top 100.
That's bad though. That's real bad.
That would be bad, correct? And if they're 30th, they're pretty good defensively, but not great.
Can I get your negatives?
I don't have a ton. I
Oh,
this
okay.
this this film was better than I thought it would be. I've been a Kentucky skeptic all offseason though, but I think this film was great for the most part. The only big concern I have is just Kirk Risa being so heavily involved. But again, Kirk Risa looked great. So is it really that much of a concern if Kirk Risa is heavily involved playing great? Not really.
I'd love to see uncut footage of this.
Yeah, that maybe the one pivot on the Kerr stuff for me would be this was highlights. The whole story with Kerr is that there's also a lot of lowlights. And
Right.
when you clip highlights, you cut out all the lowlights. So I would assume there were some turnovers and some classic Kerr Kriisa mischief mixed in that we didn't get to see. But all in all, I think the skill level's high. This is a very deep team. High floor, I would say. And they need Jackson Robinson to be their best player. They need Kobe Bryant healthy. But I feel better about Kentucky after watching this video than I did before.
Definitely.
Car, you know what I love about you?
That I'm handsome?
You're reliable. I can count on you. You know, honestly, you remind me of Aaron Henry a little bit. Remember when, like, you know, their back was against the wall, nothing was going right, and man just showed up every day. He didn't make excuses. There were no problems, there were just solutions.
Sounds like me.
That's you. And it also reminds me of Duncan Mechanical Solutions, because if you're looking for quality furnace repair, look no further than the heating and air experts that you can trust. Comfort and quality are their standard. They're an HVAC company that serves Northeast Indiana and Southern Michigan, whether it's heating and air conditioning, plumbing, kitchen and bath remodeling, or emergency services when you need them most. Duncan Mechanical Solutions has reliable service that you can count on. Cart, remember when your basement almost exploded?
I remember when my basement almost exploded. I remember when my furnace itself was acting funny. I remember when my AC was acting funny. I wish I had Duncan in my back pocket. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been anywhere in northern Indiana or southern Michigan that hasn't been perfectly cool or perfectly warm, depending on when the day called for. And that's because of Duncan Mechanical Solutions. They are the presenting sponsor for the month of July. Shout out to Duncan Mechanical Solutions. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to learn more.